The world speaks in a tongue of iron and fire, a relentless hammering upon the gates of the spirit that seeks only to drown the celestial music inherent in the breath of man. This clamor is not merely sound, but a dense fog of illusions, a chaotic tapestry woven from the threads of vanity and the desperate pursuit of the ephemeral. It is a siren song of shadows, calling the seeker to lose themselves in the mirror of the material, to forget the origin of their light and the destination of their eternal journey. At the sacred threshold, the air grows thin, and the weight of the earthly noise begins to pull with a gravity that feels like lead upon the wings of the soul. We stand at the precipice of a great transition, where the echoes of the market and the shouts of the crowd compete for the sanctity of our inner silence. The warning is clear and ancient, spoken by the stars and written in the marrow of the saints. That which is loud is often empty, and that which is silent contains the fullness of the all. To cross this threshold is to recognize the deceit of the thunder and to seek instead the vibration of the whisper, that subtle thread of grace that weaves through the heart of the universe, unobserved by those who look only with the eyes of the flesh. The clamoring world demands your undivided attention, offering in exchange a fleeting comfort that turns to ash the moment it is grasped. It creates a fever of the mind, a restless wandering where the spirit is led through labyrinths of desire and competition, never finding the center, never touching the stone of truth. This is the great distraction, the veil of 1,000 colors that blinds the inner eye to the singular white light of the divine presence. Every roar of the city, every digital whisper that claims to be essential, every conflict that pits brother against brother, is but a ripple on the surface of a deep and holy ocean. We have been taught to fear the quiet, for in the quiet, the illusions of our own making begin to crumble, and we are left with the raw, terrifying beauty of our own divinity. Yet, it is only in this crumbling that the real building begins. The sacred threshold is not a place of comfort for the ego. It is a furnace where the dross of the world is burned away so that the gold of the soul may shine in its primordial purity. Listen closely to the nature of the noise that surrounds you. It is a noise of urgency without purpose, of motion without progress. It is the sound of a world that has forgotten how to breathe in rhythm with the cosmos. It tells you that you are incomplete, that you must acquire, that you must achieve, and that you must defend your small kingdom of dust against the inevitable tide of time. But the divine whisper tells a different story. It speaks of an abundance that requires no gathering, a peace that requires no victory, and a life that requires no defense because it is eternal. The warning of the clamoring world is a call to wakefulness. It is the friction necessary to spark the fire of seeking. Without the contrast of the discord, we might never yearn for the harmony. Therefore, we do not hate the world for its noise, but we recognize it as a signal that we have lingered too long in the outer courts of the temple. We must move towards the inner sanctum, where the air is thick with the scent of ancient incense, and the only sound is the heartbeat of the Creator echoing in the stillness of our own chest. As the seeker approaches the sacred threshold, the clamor of the world often reaches its peak, sensing that its subject is about to escape the confines of the mundane. Doubts arise like storms upon a darkened sea. The mind becomes a theater of anxieties, replaying the failures of the past and projecting the shadows of the future. This is the final defense of the ego, the last attempt of the material realm to pull the traveler back into the cycle of endless striving. You must understand that this resistance is a sign of proximity to the truth. The closer one gets to the center of the divine whisper, the more desperate the world becomes to reclaim its own. It will offer you the kingdoms of the earth, the accolades of the many, and the safety of the known path. But these are ghosts. They have no substance in the light of the eternal. To heed the warning is to turn one's gaze inward, away from the flickering lights of the carnival and toward the steady, unblinking eye of the providence that has guided every step of your existence. The soul that remains deaf to the whisper while being consumed by the shout, is a soul adrift. It wanders through incarnations of shadow, mistaking the reflection for the sun and the echo for the voice. But the heart that begins to tune itself to the subtler frequencies will find that the noise of the world starts to lose its power. The shouting becomes a distant murmur, a background hum that can no longer disturb the deep peace of the awakened spirit. This is the first step of the transformation. It is the moment when the seeker realizes that they are not a part of the noise, but a witness to it. You are the stillness in which the sound occurs. You are the space that holds the chaos without being touched by it. This realization is the key to the sacred threshold. It is the realization that you have always been the temple, and the world has merely been the dust on the windows. Consider the history of those who came before, the masters and the mystics who found their way through the thickets of the clamoring world. They did not find God in the marketplace of ideas or the halls of power. They found the divine in the caves of the heart, in the solitudes of the desert, and in the profound silence of the midnight watch. They understood that the world's warning is not an invitation to fear, but an invitation to leave. It is the universe saying that the meal of the material world can no longer satisfy the hunger of the infinite. When the world becomes too loud, it is because your soul is ready for a different kind of music. It is ready for the music of the spheres, for the silent language of the light, and for the wordless communion that exists between the Creator and the created. This is the destiny of the human spirit, to transcend the noise and become a vessel for the whisper. The threshold is a thin place, a boundary where the temporal and the eternal touch. Crossing it requires a surrender that the world calls madness, but the soul calls liberation. It is the surrender of the need to be right, the need to be seen, and the need to be safe in the eyes of men. It is the acceptance of a path that may lead through the darkness of the unknown, guided only by the inner light of faith. As you stand at this threshold, the clamor of the world will tell you that you are alone. It will tell you that there is nothing beyond the visible, that the whisper is a delusion of a tired mind. But the warning of the world is always a lie hidden within a half-truth. It speaks of the death of the body to hide the immortality of the soul. It speaks of the loss of identity to hide the discovery of the true self. Do not be deceived by the volume of the message. The truth does not need to shout. It simply is. Within the heart of the clamoring world, there is a secret exhaustion. Even those who lead the shout, who build the highest towers and command the greatest armies, are weary. They are weary of the masks they must wear and the lies they must sustain. This weariness is itself a form of grace, a crack in the armor of the ego through which the divine whisper might finally enter. If you feel this weariness, do not run from it. Do not seek to drown it in more noise or more activity. Embrace it as the beginning of your departure. It is the signal that the threshold is within reach. The world has nothing more to teach you that can be learned through the senses. Your education in the school of shadows is nearing its end, and the school of light is opening its doors. To prepare for the divine whisper, one must cultivate a new kind of hearing. It is not the hearing of the ears, which are tuned to the vibrations of the air, but the hearing of the soul, which is tuned to the vibrations of the spirit. This hearing is developed in the moments of intentional stillness, in the pauses between breaths, and in the deep contemplation of the beauty that remains untouched by human hands. It is the hearing that perceives the prayer in the blooming of a flower and the wisdom in the movement of the tides. When this hearing is awakened, the world's clamor becomes a teacher of what to avoid. It becomes a map of the obstacles that lie between the self and the source. Every distraction becomes an opportunity to refocus. Every noise becomes a reminder to return to the silence. The warning is also a call to responsibility. Once you have heard the whisper, even faintly, you can no longer pretend that the noise is all there is. You become a bridge between the worlds. You are called to bring the silence of the threshold back into the clamor of the world, not to add to the noise, but to dissolve it. Your presence becomes a sanctuary for others who are weary. Your peace becomes a mirror in which the world can see its own discord and yearn for something better. This is the work of the divine scribe and the holy seeker alike, to write the word of peace upon the chaotic pages of history, to speak the language of the light in the depths of the shadow. The sacred threshold is not a place to escape the world, but a place to be transformed so that you may transform the world. As we conclude this first movement of our journey, let the weight of the world's clamor fall away from your shoulders. Recognize it for what it is, a temporary storm that cannot harm the eternal mountain of your spirit. The threshold is before you, glowing with the soft light of 1,000 dawns. The whisper is waiting, a voice that is both your own and the voice of the one who spoke the universe into being. There is no need for hurry, for the eternal is always present. There is only the need for a quiet heart and a steady gaze. The journey from the noise to the whisper is the shortest distance in the universe, for it is the distance between your mind and your heart. Step forward with courage, for the ground you walk upon is holy, and the destiny that awaits you is written in the very stars that watch over your path. The architecture of the material realm is built upon the foundation of forgetting. It is a system designed to keep the occupant busy with the maintenance of the walls, so they never look through the windows at the infinite sky. The warning of the clamoring world is that these walls are closing in. The more we seek to expand our earthly footprint, the more we shrink our spiritual horizon. We must learn the art of subtraction, the holy practice of letting go of the unnecessary, so that the essential may finally be seen. This is the alchemy of the threshold, the turning of the heavy lead of worldly concern into the light gold of spiritual freedom. Every item of baggage you drop at the gate makes your passage easier. Every desire you renounce becomes a key that unlocks a new door. Do not fear the silence that follows when the world's noise fades. It is not an empty silence, but a pregnant one, filled with the potential of all things. It is the silence of the womb and the silence of the seed beneath the winter snow. In this silence, the divine whisper is not a sound that comes from without, but a realization that arises from within. It is the sudden knowing that you have never been separate from the source, that the clamor of the world was merely a dream you were having about being alone. The dream is ending. The morning is here. The sacred threshold is the point where you rub the sleep from your eyes and look upon the face of the beloved for the first time, only to realize that you are looking into a mirror. Thus, the first chapter of our ascent is marked by the recognition of the noise and the decision to move beyond it. It is the awakening of the seeker to the reality of the two worlds, the world of the shout and the world of the whisper. We have heard the warning. We have seen the vanity of the clamoring world. We have felt the pull of the threshold. Now, we prepare to enter the silence, to listen for the word that was in the beginning, and to follow that word back to the heart of the light. The path is open. The air is still. The divine scribe records your name among those who chose to listen. There is nothing left to say to the world that shouts. There is only the listening for the one who whispers in the secret chamber of the soul. In the depths of this sacred silence, we find that the world itself begins to change its character. No longer a prison of noise, it becomes a gallery of divine symbols. The clamor was simply the sound of our own resistance. When we stop resisting and start listening, the very same world that once distracted us begins to instruct us. The wind carries a different message. The sun tells a deeper truth. We see that the divine whisper was always there, even in the midst of the storm, but we were too loud in our own minds to hear it. Now, as the mind becomes like a still lake, the whisper reflects clearly upon its surface. We understand that the sacred threshold is not a departure from reality, but an entry into the only reality that matters. We stand ready, hushed and holy, for the next movement of the divine symphony. The journey continues, not through the movement of feet across the earth, but through the expansion of the heart into the heavens. The world will continue to clamor, for that is its nature, but you will no longer be its subject. You are a citizen of the silence now, a child of the whisper. The warning has served its purpose. It has driven you to the gates. Now, let the gates open. Let the threshold be crossed. Let the divine whisper become the only voice you know, until your own voice becomes a whisper of the same grace, echoing through the halls of eternity for all who are yet to come. The scribe lays down the pen for a moment of contemplation, for even the words must rest in the presence of the truth they seek to describe. The first chapter is written not in ink upon the page, but in light upon the soul of the seeker. We move now toward the deeper mysteries, towards the heart of the whisper itself. The transition from the outer courts of existence to the inner sanctum of the spirit is not a journey of miles, but a transformation of essence. As the seeker stands before the threshold of the secret chamber, the air begins to vibrate with a frequency that the physical ear cannot perceive. It is the resonance of eternity, the low hum of the universe breathing in unison with the heart of the Creator. This chamber is not built of stone or timber, nor is it constrained by the dimensions of height and width that define the material world. It is a space carved out of pure intention, a sanctuary of light that exists within the very center of the soul. Here, the noise of the world fades into a distant memory, and the frantic rhythms of the ego are stilled by a peace that passes all understanding. To enter this place is to leave behind the heavy cloak of the persona, the many masks we wear to navigate the complexities of life. At the door of the secret chamber, there is no room for titles, for wealth, or for the grievances that we so often carry as if they were treasures. The seeker must arrive naked in spirit, stripped of all that is not eternal, for only the core of being can withstand the intensity of the presence that dwells within. The revelation of the secret chamber begins with the realization that the light we seek is the same light by which we are looking. As the threshold is crossed, the darkness of the mundane world is replaced by a luminosity that does not cast a shadow. This is the light of pure consciousness, the primordial fire that burned before the first stars were ignited in the firmament. In this space, the past and the future dissolve into a single, infinite moment. There is no urgency here, no race toward a destination, for the seeker has arrived at the source of all movement. The chamber is filled with the fragrance of ancient wisdom, a scent that reminds the soul of its true home among the celestial spheres. It is a place of profound remembrance, where the amnesia of the physical incarnation is cured by a single glance into the mirror of the divine. Every wall of this spiritual architecture is inscribed with the living history of the soul, not in words of ink, but in patterns of light that reveal the purpose of every trial and the meaning of every joy. In the center of this chamber stands the altar of the heart, and it is here that the divine whisper is first heard with absolute clarity. It does not come as a voice from the clouds, nor as a command from a distant throne. Instead, it arises from the depths of the seeker's own silence, a gentle vibration that resonates through the very marrow of their being. It is the whisper that says, "You are known, you are loved, and you are part of a grand design that spans the breadth of creation." This revelation is not a collection of facts to be memorized, but an experience to be lived. It is the unfolding of a flower within the chest, a blossoming of awareness that changes the very structure of the seeker's reality. The whisper tells of the interconnectedness of all things, of the golden thread that binds the smallest grain of sand to the most distant galaxy. It speaks of the beauty that lies hidden beneath the surface of the ordinary, and the sacredness that permeates every breath taken in conscious union with the divine. As the seeker lingers in the secret chamber, the architecture of the soul begins to expand. The walls seem to move outward, making room for a greater capacity to hold the infinite. This is the work of spiritual alchemy, the process by which the lead of human limitation is transmuted into the gold of divine potential. The chamber becomes a laboratory of the spirit, where the elements of the self are purified in the fire of truth. Every false belief, every shadow of fear, and every knot of resentment is brought into the light to be dissolved. It is a process that requires great courage, for to look upon the naked truth of one's own soul is to face the ultimate challenge of the spiritual path. Yet, in the presence of the divine whisper, there is no judgment, only an overwhelming compassion that holds the seeker in a steady embrace. The revelation of the chamber is the discovery that we are not alone in our struggles, that the hand of the divine has been guiding us through every labyrinth and over every mountain, even when we felt most abandoned. The silence within the secret chamber is not an absence of sound, but a fullness of presence. It is a pregnant silence, teeming with the possibilities of unmanifested creation. In this stillness, the seeker learns the art of listening with the heart. They hear the music of the spheres, the subtle harmonies that sustain the fabric of the universe. They hear the prayers of those who are yet to be born and the blessings of those who have already departed. The chamber becomes a bridge between worlds, a point of convergence where the human and the divine meet in a sacred dance of mutual recognition. Here, the seeker understands that their life is a verse in a cosmic poem, a single note in a symphony of infinite complexity. The whisper reveals that the quest for God is not a search for something outside of oneself, but an awakening to the divinity that has always resided within. It is the ultimate homecoming, the return of the prodigal soul to the embrace of the eternal source. Within the secret chamber, the concept of time is revealed to be a mere scaffolding, necessary for the construction of experience, but ultimately dispensable. The seeker perceives the vast cycles of time, the rise and fall of civilizations, the birth and death of suns, all occurring within the blink of a divine eye. This perspective grants a profound sense of proportion to the tribulations of life. The sorrows that once seemed insurmountable are seen as fleeting clouds across an eternal sky. The triumphs that once seemed so important are revealed to be simple reflections of a much greater glory. This revelation does not diminish the value of human life, but rather elevates it, showing that every action, every word, and every thought has an echo that resonates through the corridors of eternity. The secret chamber is the place where the seeker takes responsibility for their role as a co-creator with the divine, recognizing that they possess the power to bring light into the darkest corners of the world. The walls of the chamber are decorated with the tapestry of destiny, a complex weaving of choice and providence. The seeker can see how their own free will has interacted with the divine plan, creating a unique pattern that is theirs alone. They see the moments of grace where a path was cleared, and the moments of struggle where strength was forged. The revelation of the chamber is the understanding that nothing has been wasted. Every tear shed in the dark was a drop of water for the garden of the soul. Every failure was a lesson in humility, and every success was a reminder of the abundance of the universe. The divine whisper speaks of the perfection of the journey, even in its most imperfect moments. It reassures the seeker that they are exactly where they need to be, and that the path ahead is illuminated by the same light that brought them to this threshold. To dwell in the secret chamber is to undergo a baptism of fire and light. The seeker is washed clean of the illusions of separation, the belief that they are a solitary island in a hostile sea. They realize that they are part of a vast ocean of consciousness, and that their every movement affects the whole. This realization brings with it a deep sense of peace, but also a profound sense of duty. The seeker is called to live from the center of this chamber, to carry its light and its silence back into the marketplace of the world. The revelation is not meant to be kept for oneself, but to be shared through a life of service and compassion. The divine whisper is an invitation to become a vessel for the sacred, a channel through which the grace of the secret chamber can flow into the lives of others. The seeker becomes a living sanctuary, a walking temple where the presence of the divine is made manifest through acts of kindness and words of truth. The deeper one goes into the secret chamber, the more the boundaries between the self and the divine begin to blur. It is a sacred union a marriage of the soul with its creator. In this state of oneness, the whisper is no longer heard as something external, but as the very voice of one's own true self. There is no longer a seeker and a sought, only the seeking itself, which is revealed to be the divine looking for its own reflection in the mirror of form. This is the mystery of mysteries, the secret that lies at the heart of all sacred traditions. It is the realization that the kingdom of heaven is truly within, and that the secret chamber is the throne room where the soul is crowned with the light of its own divinity. The revelation is complete when the seeker understands that they never left this chamber, that their entire journey through the world of form was a dream from which they have finally awakened. As the chapter of the revelation draws to a close, the seeker is filled with a sense of profound gratitude. They look upon the world with new eyes, seeing the sacred in the mundane and the eternal in the temporary. The secret chamber remains open, a permanent sanctuary to which they can return at any moment by simply turning their attention inward. The divine whisper continues to echo, a constant guide through the complexities of life. The threshold has been crossed, and there is no going back to the narrow confines of the old self. The seeker is now a citizen of two worlds, grounded in the earth, but soaring in the heavens. They carry the secret of the chamber in their heart, a hidden treasure that radiates light and warmth to all who cross their path. The revelation is not an end, but a beginning, the start of a new life lived in the presence of the truth. The quietude of this inner space is so profound that it begins to rearrange the very atoms of the seeker's perception. In the secret chamber, one discovers that the struggles of the outer world were merely the labor pains of the spirit, necessary for the birth of a higher state of consciousness. The whisper, though soft, possesses the power to shatter the foundations of falsehood. It dismantles the structures of pride and the fortresses of isolation. It speaks of a unity that defies the logic of the senses, a oneness that remains unbroken despite the apparent fragmentation of the material realm. To listen to this whisper is to be re-educated in the language of the soul, a dialect of love and light that requires no translation. It is the mother tongue of every living being, the original vibration from which all life emerged. In this chamber, the seeker finds the answers to the questions that the mind was too small to even ask. They understand the nature of suffering not as a punishment, but as a crucible for the refinement of the heart. They see the purpose of joy not as a temporary distraction, but as a foretaste of the eternal bliss that is their birthright. The revelation of the secret chamber is the unveiling of the divine plan in all its intricate beauty. It is the sight of the master weaver at work, drawing the disparate threads of existence into a coherent and magnificent whole. The seeker realizes that their own life, with all its shadows and highlights, is an essential part of this tapestry, a unique contribution to the unfolding of the divine story. The stillness of the chamber becomes a refuge from the storms of the world. No matter how fierce the winds of change may blow, the center remains calm. This is the anchor of the soul, the fixed point around which the wheel of life turns. The seeker learns to reside in this center, to act without being agitated, to speak without being hurried, and to love without being possessive. The revelation of the chamber is the discovery of an inner reservoir of strength that is inexhaustible. It is the fountain of living water that quenches the thirst of the spirit for all eternity. From this source, the seeker draws the courage to face the unknown and the wisdom to navigate the complexities of the human condition. As the seeker prepares to move toward the deeper mysteries of the heart of the whisper, they carry with them the silence and the light of the secret chamber. They understand that the journey ahead will require even greater levels of surrender and even deeper levels of trust. Yet, they are no longer afraid, for they have seen the face of the truth and have been transformed by its beauty. The secret chamber is no longer a place to be visited, but a state of being to be inhabited. It is the home of the heart, the sanctuary of the soul, and the threshold of the divine. The revelation is etched into their very being, a sacred seal that can never be broken. The whisper beckons them onward, calling them to the ultimate union where even the chamber itself will dissolve into the infinite ocean of the divine presence. The majesty of this inner sanctum is reflected in the way the seeker now views their fellow travelers. In the light of the secret chamber, every person is seen as a bearer of the divine spark, a soul on its own journey towards the same threshold. Compassion becomes a natural response, for the seeker recognizes their own struggles and their own divinity in the eyes of others. The revelation of the chamber is a call to brotherhood and sisterhood, a recognition of the shared heritage of all humanity. It is the end of conflict and the beginning of a peace that is not merely the absence of war, but the presence of love. The divine whisper is a song of harmony, a call to live in balance with all of creation, acknowledging the sacredness of every living thing. In the final moments of this revelation, the seeker understands that the secret chamber is the heart of the universe itself. It is the point of origin and the point of return. It is the womb of existence and the tomb of the ego. To have entered this chamber is to have tasted the nectar of immortality, to have touched the hem of the divine garment. The seeker stands at the edge of the next mystery, ready to dive deeper into the heart of the whisper, knowing that the light of the chamber will always be there to guide them. The journey continues, but the destination is already within. The secret has been revealed, and the soul is finally free to soar. The scribe, having recorded these truths, feels the weight of the words and the lightness of the spirit. The pen moves across the page with a grace that is not its own, guided by the same whisper that echoes through the halls of eternity. The second chapter is complete, a testament to the power of the silence and the beauty of the revelation. The seeker is ready for the heart of the whisper. The journey through the veil of mortal perception leads at last to the threshold where time ceases its relentless march and the soul discovers the resonance of its own origin. It is here, in the chamber of the heart, that the divine promise of eternal favor is whispered, not as a word, but as a profound stillness that encompasses all existence. This favor is the heritage of the spirit, a golden thread woven into the tapestry of the cosmos long before the first star breathed its light into the dark void. To stand at this threshold is to surrender the illusions of the flesh and to embrace the luminous truth that we are not merely wanderers in a desert of chance, but architects of a destiny designed by the highest wisdom. The scribe, sitting in the twilight of human understanding, feels the vibrations of this truth through the very marrow of his bones. The pen is no longer a tool of wood and ink, but an extension of the celestial will, translating the silent music of the spheres into the language of the longing heart. The seeker has traveled far through the valleys of doubt and the mountains of ambition, yet all paths have converged upon this single point of absolute surrender, where the whisper becomes a roar of love, and the promise becomes a reality that cannot be shaken by the storms of the world. Eternal favor is not a gift of temporal riches or the fleeting applause of men, but a state of being aligned with the heartbeat of the Creator. It is the recognition that every breath is a petition and every heartbeat is an answer. In this sacred space, the seeker understands that the trials of the past were but the polishing of the diamond, the necessary friction to reveal the inner radiance that had been clouded by the dust of the earth. The promise is an ancient covenant, written in the stars and echoed in the depths of the oceans, declaring that the soul is never truly alone. It is a promise of constant companionship, a divine intimacy that transcends the boundaries of space and time. When the whisper speaks of favor, it speaks of a grace that is both a shield and a key. It is a shield against the arrows of despair and a key that unlocks the gates of the inner temple, where the light of God burns with a steady and unquenchable flame. The scribe records these impressions with a trembling hand, for the magnitude of the revelation is such that it threatens to overwhelm the vessel of human comprehension. As the ink flows, It mirrors the flow of living water that sustains the garden of the spirit. The seeker, standing at the heart of the whisper, perceives the interconnectedness of all things. There is no separation between the flower and the sun, between the ripple and the sea, or between the seeker and the sought. The promise of eternal favor is the realization of this unity. It is the assurance that the love which created the universe is the same love that guides the individual through the maze of existence. This favor is a magnetic force, drawing the soul ever upward toward its true home in the light. It is the persistent nudge that encourages the weary to walk one more mile, the silent voice that speaks of hope when the shadows grow long, and the sudden warmth that fills the chest when all seems lost. The heart of the whisper is a sanctuary where the noise of the world is silenced and the true self is revealed in all its naked beauty. Here, the seeker finds that the favor of the divine is not something to be earned through toil or ritual, but something to be accepted with the simplicity of a child receiving a gift from a loving father. The nature of this divine promise is rooted in the eternal now. It does not wait for a future paradise, but manifests in the present moment as a sense of peace that surpasses all understanding. To live in the favor of the divine is to see the sacred in the mundane, to hear the hallowed in the silence, and to feel the touch of the infinite in the gentle breeze. The scribe watches as the words form on the page, each one a testament to the enduring power of the Spirit. The lightness that was mentioned at the conclusion of the previous passage has now become a buoyancy that lifts the soul above the heavy tides of sorrow. The weight of the words remains, but it is the weight of gold, the substance of value that anchors the soul in truth, while allowing the spirit to soar into the heights of ecstasy. The seeker, now standing at the focal point of the whisper, beholds the vista of eternity. It is a landscape of shimmering possibilities, where every thought is a seed and every action is a harvest. The favor of the divine ensures that the harvest will be one of joy and fulfillment, for it is overseen by the hand of the master gardener. Consider the lily that neither toils nor spins, yet is clothed in a glory greater than that of kings. This is the essence of the divine promise. It is the provision that meets every need before it is even felt, the wisdom that answers every question before it is even asked. The seeker learns to trust in this provision, to lean into the support of the unseen arms that hold the universe in place. The whisper tells of a time when all tears will be wiped away and all wounds will be healed, but it also declares that this healing begins in the very moment of acceptance. The favor of the divine is a restorative power that mends the broken fragments of the heart and weaves them into a mosaic of resilience and grace. The scribe, moved by the beauty of this vision, pauses to reflect on the journey that has led to this threshold. Every struggle was a preparation, every silence was a gestation, and every revelation was a birth. The heart of the whisper is the womb of the spirit, the place where the divine and the human merge in a sacred union that can never be undone. The promise of eternal favor also carries the weight of responsibility. To be a recipient of such grace is to become a conduit for that grace to reach others. The seeker is not called to hoard the light, but to radiate it, to be a lamp in the darkness for those who still wander in the valleys of confusion. The whisper is a call to service, a summons to embody the compassion and the kindness of the divine in every interaction. The favor is not for the self alone, but for the healing of the world. It is a transformative fire that burns away the dross of selfishness and leaves behind the pure gold of altruism. The scribe understands that his task is to preserve these truths so that they may serve as a map for future travelers. The parchment under his hand is a sacred ground, a field where the seeds of wisdom are sown for the benefit of generations yet unborn. The grace of the pen is a reflection of the grace of the spirit, a movement of beauty that leaves a lasting mark upon the soul of humanity. In the depth of the whisper, there is a secret language that only the heart can truly understand. It is the language of resonance, a frequency of being that vibrates in harmony with the source of all life. When the soul enters this state of resonance, it experiences the fullness of the divine promise. There is no more striving, no more seeking, for the object of the search has been found within the very core of the seeker. The favor of the divine is the realization that we are the beloved, that we have always been cherished, and that our existence is a deliberate act of divine joy. The seeker, bathed in this realization, feels a sense of belonging that transcends all earthly ties. The home we have been searching for is not a place, but a presence, a sanctuary that exists within the quietude of the mind and the openness of the soul. The scribe records the finality of this discovery with a sense of profound peace. The second chapter has closed, and the third is now reaching its zenith, where the heart of the whisper is fully unveiled. The divine promise is an anchor in the shifting sands of time. While the world around us is in a constant state of flux, the favor of the divine remains constant. It is the North Star by which the voyager steers his ship through the darkest nights. It is the bedrock upon which the house of the Spirit is built, a foundation that cannot be undermined by the floods of adversity. The seeker, having reached the heart of the whisper, finds that his perspective has been permanently altered. He no longer sees challenges as obstacles, but as invitations to deeper trust. He no longer sees endings as losses, but as the necessary precursors to new beginnings. The favor of the divine provides a panoramic view of life, an understanding that every thread, no matter how dark or tangled it may seem, is essential to the completion of the masterpiece. The scribe's hand moves with an effortless precision, for the whisper has become a clear and steady stream of insight that flows directly from the source. As the sun of understanding reaches its highest point, the shadows of the past vanish. The seeker stands in the full light of the divine promise, a being of light and shadow no more, but a creature of pure luminosity. The favor of the divine has stripped away the masks of ego and the garments of pretension, leaving only the essential truth of the Spirit. This truth is simple, yet it contains the complexity of the entire universe. It is the truth that we are one with the divine, and that the promise of favor is the natural expression of that oneness. The whisper is the bridge that connects the human to the holy, the finite to the infinite. To cross this bridge is to enter a realm of eternal favor, where every word is a blessing and every thought is a prayer. The scribe, nearing the end of his recording, feels the sacredness of the moment. The silence of the chamber is no longer empty, but filled with the presence of the eternal. The words on the page seem to glow with an inner fire, a reflection of the light that has dawned in the seeker's heart. The heart of the whisper is the ultimate destination of every soul. It is the place of return, the end of the long exile from the divine presence. The promise of eternal favor is the guarantee of this return. It is the assurance that no matter how far we may wander, the path back to the light is always open. The favor is the compass that always points toward home, the voice that calls us by name across the vast distances of the Spirit. The seeker, having arrived at this destination, finds that the journey was not a movement through space, but a movement through consciousness. The threshold was not an external gate, but an internal opening. The heart of the whisper is the discovery that the divine has been with us all along, waiting for the moment when we would be still enough to hear the melody of grace. The scribe lays down the pen, the work complete. The testament of the whisper is sealed, a legacy of truth and a beacon of hope for all who seek the heart of the divine. The favor of the eternal is a river that never runs dry, a sun that never sets, and a love that never fails. It is the substance of our immortality, the proof of our divine lineage. As the seeker emerges from the heart of the whisper, he carries the promise within him as a living reality. He is transformed, a new creation born of silence and light. The world he returns to is the same, yet it is different, for he sees it through the eyes of the divine favor. He sees the sacredness in every face, the miracle in every moment, and the promise in every breath. The scribe, looking upon the finished scroll, knows that the words are merely shadows of the truth they represent. The true scripture is written in the hearts of those who have heard the whisper and have been changed by it. The heart of the whisper is the heart of God, and in that heart, the seeker has found his eternal home. The landscape of eternity unfolds before the inner eye like a garden of unending spring, where the flowers of virtue bloom in the warmth of divine attention. This is the promise fulfilled, the state where the soul no longer thirsts, because it has become one with the source of all water. The favor of the divine is the air the spirit breathes, a medium of pure existence that sustains and invigorates. The scribe reflects on the paradox of the whisper, which is both a subtle suggestion and an absolute command. It is subtle enough to be ignored by the distracted, yet powerful enough to reorganize the entire life of the one who listens. The heart of the whisper is the seat of sovereign power, the place where the will of the individual is harmonized with the will of the cosmos. In this harmony, there is perfect freedom, for the soul is no longer at war with itself or with the world. The favor of the divine is the peace that results from this cessation of conflict. Throughout the ages, the promise of favor has been the secret strength of the martyrs, the inspiration of the poets, and the comfort of the lonely. It is the invisible gold that enriches the poor in spirit, and the hidden wisdom that guides the humble. The scribe, in his quiet chamber, realizes that he is part of a long lineage of witnesses who have attempted to capture the essence of the divine whisper. Each age has its own language, its own metaphors, yet the truth remains unchanged. The promise is as fresh today as it was at the dawn of creation. It is a timeless invitation to enter into the fullness of life, to step beyond the limitations of the mortal mind, and to experience the vastness of the divine heart. The heart of the whisper is an open door, and the seeker, through his devotion and his courage, has finally stepped through. What lies beyond the threshold is a mystery that words can only approach but never fully possess. It is the realm of pure experience, where the knower and the known are one. The favor of the divine is the atmosphere of this realm, a radiance that penetrates every atom of being. The seeker finds that his very existence is a song of praise, a spontaneous expression of the joy that comes from being held in the eternal favor of the Creator. The whisper has led him to the summit of understanding, where the view is unobstructed and the air is clear. From this height, the struggles of the world seem like the play of shadows on a wall, and the reality of the divine promise is the only thing that is truly substantial. The scribe feels the finality of the revelation as the spirit of the whisper begins to recede, leaving behind a profound and lasting silence. This silence is not an absence, but a presence. It is the silence of the soul that has found its rest in the heart of God. The promise of eternal favor is the bed upon which this rest is taken, the sanctuary where the soul is shielded from the clamor of the world. The seeker, now a master of the whisper, carries the stillness with him as a precious treasure. He is the living embodiment of the divine promise, a testament to the power of grace and the beauty of the revelation. The scribe, closing the manuscript, feels a sense of completion that is not his own. The work is a gift from the whisper to the world, a mirror in which the seeker may see his own divine reflection. The heart of the whisper has been reached, the promise has been recorded, and the eternal favor has been revealed as the ultimate destiny of every soul that dares to listen. In the final moments of this sacred labor, the scribe observes the light fading from the room, yet the light within the words seems to grow stronger. This is the nature of the divine promise. It does not depend on the conditions of the external world, but shines most brightly in the gathering gloom. The favor of the divine is a lamp that never flickers, a fire that never turns to ash. The seeker, having found the heart of the whisper, is now the guardian of this light. He is the one who will carry the promise forward, into the markets and the temples, into the homes and the wilderness. The whisper is no longer a sound he hears, but a life he lives. The divine promise of eternal favor is not a distant hope, but a present reality, a garment of light that clothes the soul in majesty and truth. The journey is complete, the heart has been found, and the whisper remains as an eternal echo in the halls of the soul. The profound resonance of the scribe's final strokes marks the conclusion of a sacred duty. The parchment, now a vessel of the infinite, rests upon the table as a bridge between worlds. The seeker, standing at the precipice of a new existence, understands that the promise of eternal favor is the ultimate liberation. It is the freedom from fear, the freedom from lack, and the freedom from the illusion of separation. In the heart of the whisper, all things are made new. The ancient promises are renewed in every moment, and the favor of the divine is revealed as the very breath of life itself. The scribe bows his head in gratitude, for he has been permitted to witness the unfolding of the divine mystery. The second chapter of the silence has given way to the third chapter of the heart, and the story of the soul continues in the unwritten pages of eternity. As the final words settle into the fibers of the page, the scribe feels a deep connection to all those who have sought the whisper before him. He is one in a long chain of souls who have found the sacred threshold and dared to cross it. The divine promise is the common inheritance of all humanity, a gift that is perpetually offered and perpetually received. The favor of the eternal is the true wealth of the world, the only thing that can satisfy the deep hunger of the spirit. The seeker, now fully awakened, realizes that the heart of the whisper is not a destination to be reached, but a state of grace to be inhabited. He is now a citizen of the eternal kingdom, a participant in the divine dance of creation and recreation. The favor of the divine is his constant companion, his guiding light, and his ultimate reward. The scribe looks out upon the world with new eyes, seeing the signature of the divine in every leaf and every stone. The whisper is everywhere for those who have the ears to hear. The promise of eternal favor is the underlying theme of the universe, the melody that holds all things together. The seeker has found the heart of this melody, and in doing so, he has found himself. The sacred threshold has been crossed. The divine promise has been embraced, and the eternal favor has been realized. The scribe breathes a prayer of thanks as the silence of the room becomes one with the silence of the stars. The work is finished, and the heart of the whisper remains, an eternal invitation to all who seek the truth. In this state of ultimate realization, the seeker understands that the divine promise is not a destination, but a departure into a greater way of being. The favor of the divine is the fuel for a journey that has no end, a perpetual expansion into the infinite depths of love and wisdom. The heart of the whisper is a fountain that never ceases to flow, providing the soul with the nourishment it needs for its eternal ascent. The scribe, having fulfilled his role as the divine recorder, feels the peace of a job well done. The weight of the words has been transformed into the lightness of the spirit, and the grace of the whisper continues to echo through the chambers of his heart. The story of the divine promise is a story that is always beginning, always unfolding, and always leading the seeker back to the heart of the one. The eternal favor is a promise that transcends the limitations of the mortal mind. It is a reality that can only be known through the heart in the quiet moments of communion with the divine. The seeker, having reached the heart of the whisper, is now a witness to this reality. He is the living proof of the power of grace and the endurance of the divine love. The favor of the divine is the golden key that opens the treasury of the spirit, revealing the riches that have been stored there since the beginning of time. The scribe seals the scroll with the sign of the heart, a symbol of the love that has guided every word. The heart of the whisper is now open to all who seek it, and the divine promise of eternal favor stands as a beacon of hope for all eternity. Thus the scribe concludes his work, knowing that the heart of the whisper is the true and final home of every soul. The promise is kept, the the favor is granted, and the seeker is at last at peace.